Alright guys, little bit different of a video today. We're going to be going a little more in depth about my truck, my third generation Toyota Tundra. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about 5 things that I personally enjoy about the truck. There's a lot of controversy going around right now about these trucks. There's a massive engine recall for some of the early models of this generation. So I wanted to put some positivity out there about this truck. I'm going to start off by saying that I love this truck. This is my favorite truck that I've had so far. It's not my favorite vehicle I've had so far, but it's definitely um, my my top truck, I guess I could say. It's my daily driver. It takes me to work. It really does a lot. I've owned it for about a year and a half. Just hit 25,000 miles. So I feel like that's enough to give, my opinion about some really good things about this truck. Me personally, I've had no issues, no major issues, I should say. I did mention in a previous video, some of my wheel center caps fall off. I don't know why that is. Just kind of a minor build quality issue. I don't really care about them. The wheels are going to change at some point, but anyways, like I said, we're going to be discussing 5 things that I personally enjoy about the third generation Toyota Tundra. So I'm going to count down from 5. Starting at number 5, I want to start off with the looks. I mean, this thing just looks fantastic. Um, I was debating the color. I was thinking in Lunar Rock, Ice Cap, which is what I ended up with, or the Army Green. I'm really glad I got the Ice Cap. I bought this truck when it was kind of the buying craze where trucks were flying off the lot. So I was kind of on a list of, they called me. They said, hey, we have a white one in stock with everything you want. So I went and snatched it up. But anyways, I love this. I love how this thing looks. I'm not a huge fan of the chrome that this thing has. There's some here. There's a little bit on the back bumper, but the biggest one is this huge mustache thing they got going on. Eventually, this will change when I get a aftermarket steel bumper, so I can stop destroying all my plastic. But it'll be a lot of that'll be cut off, and then eventually I'll color match it. I really like white vehicles with black accents. I know it's pretty common in the automotive industry. It's the pinstriping fairly well. It doesn't seem as dirty as it actually is. And my biggest reason for choosing white vehicles is I'm colorblind, so certain colors don't look like they do to other people. But so I go with white so that I'm not constantly second guessing myself. But I really like the white with the black accents. I like that they blacked out the A and B pillars just to kind of give it that flush black look, especially if you got really tinted windows. All the badging, except for my little decal there, was blacked out from the factory. These weren't. I didn't add any overlays or anything. This is how it came. Don't have chrome badges. Really happy about that. But it just white, black. It just looks really clean in my opinion. Number 4 on our list is going to be the ground clearance. These things have really decent ground clearance on stock suspension. My truck isn't lifted. It's got 34-inch tires, which bump it up a little bit, but for the most part, it's stock. And I've touched my skid plates maybe one time. There's like one scratch on there. Obviously, this doesn't include the approach and departure angles. I have hit those several times on just normal washed out roads, nothing crazy. So like I mentioned, steel bumpers, that'll solve that issue at some point. I will say that I've come very close to hitting my rocker panels. I mean, that's kind of just the name of the game when it comes to a full-size truck. You're going to get closer to rocks, you're going to get closer to trees. You just kind of have to accept that. For number 3, I'm going to have to go with the handling. This is really what drug me into buying this truck. When I test drove one, I was amazed at how well it handles. It doesn't feel like you're driving a full-size truck, handling wise. It's very stable on the highway. It could be, because it's a wide vehicle, but it really handles like a car. It's very comfortable on the road. You know, this has the factory TRD off-road shocks. I don't have the Fox shocks or anything, but I love it on pavement. I don't love it so much when I'm off-road. The suspension is pretty bouncy once you start hitting some bigger rocks, but hitting speed bumps, hitting the curbs at the mall, you know, it'll handle all that. Coming in at number two is gonna have to be the storage space. This is honestly this was a tie for first place because this thing has so much storage space. Under the seats, you got this massive cavern of just, you know, you can put whatever in there. I put my air compressor down there. I put, you know, recovery gear. There's a lot of space. If you get the hybrid version, you don't get that. You don't get that under the bench seat, you know, storage compartment. And if you get the JBL subwoofer, you don't get the back behind the seat. You get like 2/3 of it, maybe. You don't get the whole thing. So I really like the way this is configured. I don't have a lot of the premium options, but where I benefit is the storage space. And that doesn't include the 5.5 foot bed. I mean, this thing is it's it's not a long bed, that's for sure. I kind of wish I had the 6 foot bed sometimes, or the 6.5, whatever. But for my needs, I think it's plenty. It's not long, but it's pretty deep. You can put a lot in this. It's a full size truck. I think that makes sense. You know, I don't like the Ford, like the F-150s, the 250s. A lot of the late model ones, you can't open the back seat to get to that back panel. I know there's mods that allow you to do that, but from the factory, Toyota really has a lot of storage space. Coming in at number one is going to be the power. This thing is a beast. It's a twin turbo V6. It's got instant instant power. I don't notice a whole lot of turbo lag. I had a 21 Ford Ranger with the 2.3 liter turbo, and that one had a bit of a little bit of turbo lag. Taking a turbocharged vehicle off road is kind of weird sometimes. You know, you don't have as much instant throttle control, but with this one, I haven't had an issue, especially in sport mode. It really keeps those RPMs high, so you can have all that control. But I don't have the hybrid option. I know that gives you a little bit more torque, but for me, I didn't think I would need it. I would much rather have the massive underseat storage, but I know the hybrids do have a lot more power, and that's the reason that Toyota puts a hybrid. It's not for fuel economy. It's for uh, towing capacity and overall torque. But yeah, like I said, this thing absolutely rips. I cannot wait to get a suspension setup that really stays on par with the engine that's under this hood. You could tell it really wants to go fast off road, but right now with these stock shocks, they just can't keep up. So, all right, guys, that kind of wraps up our list. Overall, I really love this truck. I've had no major issues with it. It's really fun. It holds all my gear and more, and I can see myself keeping this truck for a pretty long time. It's I can't think of another vehicle that I would replace it with right now. But yeah, this was kind of a different video for me. It's not a trail run or anything. It's just me standing in front of a camera talking to you guys. Um, as I mentioned in a previous video, I'm not a public speaker. I'm working on it. I know I talk in kind of a monotonous voice, but I'm working on it. I'm out here. I'm standing in front of this camera, bringing content to you guys. So yeah, that wraps things up.